But Democrats joined Republicans in saying enough, these leaks must stop.
Tonight, the White House finds itself in damage control mode after what a lot of pundits are calling one of the worst weeks for the administration, politically speaking, in 3.5 years.
Drip, drip, drip. What's with all this leaking during the first year of the Obama administration? What's doing it? Who's doing it? And what do they got to gain?
But this comes after explosive accusations that the White House leaked classified information to stop Israel from attacking Iran.
Officials are accused of telling Hollywood filmmakers too much about the raid that killed Osama bin Laden.
From our earliest days, we have recognized those who led our fight for freedom. Throughout our history, these brave men and women have put their lives on the line for us, our families, and our future. They made a pledge to fight for us and for the freedoms and liberties that define us as a nation. Many paid the ultimate price.
My name is Debbie Lee, and I'm the very proud mother of Mark Allen Lee, who was the first Navy SEAL that was killed in Iraq on August 2nd, 2006. He willingly gave his life so that they could live, and so that we could experience the freedoms that we have here and that our founding fathers intended for us to have. I miss that young man so much, but I know where he is. He was redeployed to heaven, and I will see him again.
We honor their service, their sacrifice. Their victories in combat were not cheap. They certainly were not automatic. And virtually without exception, success depended on having the right intelligence to know where, when, and how best to strike.
All military operations depend entirely on intelligence. No one commits troops blindly in the field. It hasn't been done since the days of Napoleon, and even then, intelligence was necessary. Intelligence nowadays is crucial just to get the authorization to do even the most minor operation.
You need intelligence to be able to identify your target. The capabilities of your enemy, and to determine how you're going to operate against the enemy. It's the foundation of everything.
Good intelligence is the difference between wasting lives on a mission or getting a mission done to the exact specification as ordered to achieve. Intelligence is the paramount.
Intelligence is key to ensuring your operation is going to be a successful one. If you don't have good intelligence, you're probably not going to succeed.
Techniques and technology have changed through the years, but two things have remained constant. First, human intelligence, penetrating the plans and operations of the enemy with real people, not just equipment, is central and critical.
It all starts with that human intelligence, who said what to who, what's that lead, and following one person, sometimes for years, until they lead you to where you want to go.
Human intelligence is the most important kind of intelligence because it is the only intelligence that can provide you with the thinking of leadership. All the technical intelligence you have out there is not going to be able to give you what's in the minds of the leaders and enemies. That can only come from human intelligence.
Keeping secrets matters. It's called operational security, OPSEC for short. Never let the enemy know of your intentions, your operations. Maintaining OPSEC means the difference between a successful mission and failure. And when OPSEC is violated, our enemies gain the upper hand.
As soon as you let anybody know what you have, change their tactics if they're using a certain tactic, or change what direction they were heading.
There's a cost for our leaders grabbing for glory. Politics should never come before national security.
Every time you leak intelligence like that, you lose assets. Some assets are just no longer usable. Other assets are actually found by our enemy and eliminated.
These are the experts on the subject, the people who have spent much of their lives in military and intelligence operations. They know what they are talking about, and they have had enough. They've come together to make sure Americans understand what's going on and what's at stake, protecting operational security. Their mission? Stop the politicians from politically capitalizing on U.S. national security operations and secrets. Remember May 2nd, 2011. Americans learned that Osama bin Laden had been eliminated. How did we learn about it?
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden. I directed Leon Panetta, the director of the CIA, to make the killing or capture of bin Laden the top priority of our war against al-Qaeda. I met repeatedly with my national security team. I determined that we had enough intelligence at my direction. I directed. That
was kind of infuriating to a lot of folks, especially those who've been in the fight. This administration didn't capture or kill or eliminate bin Laden or anybody else. There's a whole lot of folks in the military and intelligence community who've been working on this for a very long time.
Mr. President, you did not kill Osama bin Laden. America did. The work that the American military has done killed Osama bin Laden. You did not.
So for someone to sit around in a support position and say, we killed Osama bin Laden, no, you didn't. You had nothing to do with it. There was a finite amount of people who can make that claim, and that's the guys that were on the target.
And the politicians just don't get it, that serving our country is above politics.
I was appalled first to hear the secrets that I've spent over 25 years protecting. Cover name of a unit, the actual name of a special mission unit, and the location of a special mission unit, all reported within the same sentence. Not only did they identify the special mission unit, we had tactics, techniques, and procedures that were compromised. We even knew the name of the dog that was on the operation.
I mean, the raid on Osama bin Laden was a very complicated event. It entailed a lot of very, very sensitive methods. I mean, start with the helicopter. All of this was compromised. And in this particular case, it was done deliberately. I mean, moments after the raid, it was announced.
Killing bin Laden had been a goal for years, but the politicians turned that victory into an intelligence disaster.
Well, I think we were all glad to hear that Osama bin Laden was killed, but I think many of us would step and say, well, why didn't we wait a week or 2 weeks, or wait some amount of time to exploit the intelligence you got out of that compound?
The question then surfaced shortly after the announcement was, should it have been announced when it was? Now the bad guys knew we got bin Laden, so it wouldn't take long for that information to get out. But unfortunately, the early announcement of that also defeated our ability to exploit any of the intelligence we might have gathered at bin Laden's compound. Computer files, paper files, any number of other things might have been found there. So as soon as the word got out, we had a bunch of rats scurrying to hide. And we might have had a little more opportunity to get some more had that announcement been held even for a day or two.
I think that the disclosure of specific details of the raid, how we got there, how many people that we used, what were the tactics to conduct the mission itself, and what we did afterwards. I believe that a 10-year-old would be able to understand that if you disclose how we got there, how we took down the building, what we did, how many people were there, that it's going to hinder future operations and certainly hurt the success of those future operations for DOD, for military, for intelligence community, and everybody as a whole.
And what about the people who put their lives on the line to help us eliminate Osama bin Laden? What happened when the administration made it public? Who was on our side?
We've had enough difficulty. Recruiting sources is never an easy thing to begin with, particularly in today's environment. But one of the most important things that any intelligence operator must do is protect that source. And with wanton disregard, this administration, the leaked information, deliberately or otherwise, that led to the identification of the Pakistani doctor that helped us in achieving our goals in killing bin Laden. That makes it almost impossible to recruit other human sources.
Worse than ever are leaks coming out of the White House. I'm not sure we have anybody in senior leadership today that understands the propriety and how risky it is on leaks. Now, as a result of the recent leaks, just in the last year, we've had a Pakistani doctor who gave us information on bin Laden, 33 years in prison.
What was done was stupid. But it was more than stupid because it was done with malice aforethought. It was done for a political purpose. And that's what I find terrible. Days after the raid, Hollywood was invited into the White House. So that they could receive a briefing on exactly how the raid took place. What kind of sources we had, what kind of methods we used, all for the purpose of making a Hollywood movie.
And somewhere in this administration, perhaps at the highest levels, there are people who don't understand what the requirements are that are put on everybody else. When we divulge national security information, such as the identity of the organization that killed Osama bin Laden, we have now put all of those men, all of their families, everybody around them at some sort of risk. And when is the payback going to come? Well, it didn't come immediately. It might not come this week. It might not come next year. But be assured, we have a lot of enemies out there.
Not content to go for political gain at the time, the administration decided to double down a year later, to take a victory lap to try and get more political advantages, and airing a campaign commercial about the raid.
We have become a political weapon. We are not. Our job is to be silent professionals. We do not seek recognition. We do not seek popularity.
I feel really badly for our U.S. Navy SEALs, and particularly SEAL Team 6, who conducted the bin Laden raid. They were identified, and now you can believe that we have enemies that are trying to identify them. It has placed them and their families at risk, and anybody that thinks it hasn't is being naive.
But the leaks did not end with the bin Laden raid. A recent series of intelligence leaks has been bombarding the airwaves. Even the president's political friends know this is not right. One recent leak exposed a joint intelligence operation of the United States and Israel that developed a computer worm known as the Stuxnet worm, a very powerful program capable of shutting down sophisticated computer systems. And we made good use of it, stopping the Iranians and setting their operations back by years.
The Stuxnet thing, it worked. It was a good thing. It may have denied the Iranians from getting their nuclear capability for a year or 2 years or whatever it is. It worked. It was a good deal. It was a good operation. Why the hell talk about it?
This administration willfully leaked the existence of Stuxnet, allowing our enemies to learn more of our secrets and our operations. Why would anyone do this? What is the cost of trading national secrets for political capital?
When we stand up and admit that we were part of putting Stuxnet together with our Israeli friends, we have really undermined our ability, one, to have the Israelis or anybody else work with us on the technology side, and secondly, we've made it very clear to the Iranians who did it and who they need to be coming back to pay back.
We live in a dangerous world. But does it do us any good when it becomes public that the President of the United States has a kill list? That he, personally, is approving firing drone missiles.
Kill lists. I mean, that's part of the whole giving out of things that are against secret and quiet, and things you don't talk about. But as in to make things public is wrong.
We have divulged to the world that we're using drone technology and conducting strikes inside of different countries, and we've also divulged to the world via this administration at a very high level, obviously, that the president himself has a kill list and that he's making the decision as to who will be killed by these drones. Drones aren't like nuclear weapons in the sense that they're difficult to hide. The proliferation of drone technology is very easy. It's easy to do. Other countries already have drones. Other countries are building drones. So I think that we set a profoundly bad precedent by making these decisions and leaking that information that the president himself is using drone technology and deciding on who will die.
These experts, these heroes who have served their country, risked their lives, have had enough. They know the time to act is now.
As a citizen, it is my civic duty to tell the president to stop leaking information to the enemy. It will get Americans killed.
The accumulation of all and the consistency of these very high-level leaks, again, really at number one, puts our military members, potentially their family, other civilians, their support personnel, at risk and at safety and potentially of death because of these leaks. On top of that, you have folks from other countries understand and would move and change their tactics to combat our tactics based upon these leaks that were disclosed. It's just not the way that the military does business, and I believe that at the very highest levels that they should be held accountable for it.
I don't get it. I mean, I don't come from that culture. I'm not a political guy. I don't come from that culture. I don't see why anybody would purposely put lives in jeopardy.
Protecting military secrets has been paramount to our country from its earliest time. The leaks by this administration have violated the trust established over the last 200 years.
Mr. President, to you and those close to you that hold some of the nation's highest secrets, please be quiet about it.
With all due respect, Mr. President, we need you to close your lips and to shut up when it comes to operational security regarding our armed forces. It's critical for you as a leader to understand that, and what the SEALs say, we do it, we don't talk about it.
I was recently at a military installation speaking with former colleagues and told them about what we were doing and what our goals were to maintain a standing watchdog organization that would prevent any politician from exploiting military gains for political secrets. And they all said, you've got to do this, you've got to speak, because we can't.
We have thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in the intelligence community and our military. They deserve to have us speak on their behalf. They can't. They are prohibited from doing it. They might even get fired. It's one of the reasons I'm appearing anonymously here. Because I still have friends and associates that are working within the intelligence community. And I still have some activities that I support with the military. And I risk jeopardizing those things and my friends and the people I care about that are doing their best to protect this country. That's the reason why I'm appearing in this way.
Duty. Honor. Country. Values fought for by our heroes, selflessly and without thoughts of glory or recognition, while protecting the freedoms that make America the guiding light around the world.
We've got to stand up. This is our country, this is our Constitution, and we have to speak out. Finally, we have to speak out and say, we will not take this anymore. Enough is enough.
If I had one piece of advice for this administration, it would be the same thing that former Secretary of Defense Bob Gates said. Shut the up.
Our organization, OPSEC, or short for Operational Security, consists of Special Forces, Delta Force, Marines, Navy SEALs, folks from the intelligence community, and I think it's been great to have a coalition of folks that are coming out and speaking out because they're able to have a voice and lend their voice to the active duty men and women who are over there overseas fighting for us right now. And we're here to speak out against the release of national security secrets that could potentially put our brothers and sisters and their families in harm's way.
You can also join these heroes and their operation to protect our military secrets.
If you agree with our message that politicians shouldn't carelessly disclose national security secrets, then tell your friends, post on your Facebook, your Twitter, get the word out, because this is important for our national security, for our country, and for our future.
Aaron called me. His tone was extremely serious. And he said, "Mom, you need to wipe your social media clean. Get rid of everything, any reference of me or my buddies, because there's chatter. And all of our lives are possibly in danger, including yours."
Defense Secretary Robert Gates is very concerned too much classified information has gotten out.
We all agreed that we would not release any operational details from the effort to take out bin Laden. That all fell apart the next day.
Navy SEALs and what they did last Sunday.
How dare they? They put a target on my son's back, and even on my back. But a little over 90 days later, my son was dead.
In a brand new political ad, the mother of a fallen Navy SEAL Team 6 member says the White House, quote, put a target on her son's back following the bin Laden raid. Take a look at this.
Aaron called me. His tone was extremely serious. And he said, "Mom, you need to wipe your social media clean. Get rid of everything, any reference of me or my buddies, because there's chatter. And all of our lives are possibly in danger, including yours."
Defense Secretary Robert Gates is very concerned too much classified information has gotten out.
We all agreed that we would not release any operational details from the effort to take out bin Laden. That all fell apart the next day.
Navy SEALs and what they did last Sunday.
How dare they? They put a target on my son's back, and even on my back. But a little over 90 days later, my son was dead.
National security leaks threaten American lives. We need leaders who understand that. Veterans for a Strong America is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Joining me now are the parents of fallen Navy SEAL Team 6 member Aaron Vaughn. Karen and Billy Vaughn, thank you both for being here. I'm very, very sorry about the loss of your son and a true American hero. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
When you say that they put a target on my son's back, explain.
Well, you know, here's the way I look at it. It's very simple. When we go across the country and we take out the main figurehead for Al-Qaeda, for everything that's been waged against our country, it's very simple to me that if we announce who was responsible for that, that all hell, for a lack of a better phrase, is going to break loose on the people that are responsible for taking that man out. At least all attempts possible. So that's what I mean by putting a target on his back.
You know, they didn't have to mention this was SEAL Team 6. They could have announced bin Laden was killed. They didn't have to say who did it, what branch of the military did it. Is that in part what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I can tell you that the community was stunned by the announcement. It was unprecedented and extremely dangerous.
What do you think? The president's been out there spiking the football as part of a campaign issue, that he got bin Laden and bin Laden's dead. But yet when your son and SEAL Team 6 members, when they got him, we were told we couldn't show the body because it would inflame tensions of radical Islamists. Do you find that hypocritical?
It's very hypocritical, Sean. How do you inflame these people? We can't make them any angrier at us anyway. Our warriors need to be allowed to carry out the missions that they're assigned, and they need their identities kept secret, but they need to be allowed to go and fight and do what they're trained to do. These elite warriors can do anything they want to the Taliban, to Al-Qaeda. If this administration, if President Obama would just recognize the enemy, give them rules of engagement that favor them instead of leveling the playing field for the enemy, and give them the equipment that's required to carry out their missions. And I mentioned those three things because those are other issues that we have found in searching and looking at what happened to Aaron and those warriors on that night. All three of those things were reasons why this chopper was shot down, why this largest loss in a single day in the 10-year war on terror was caused, and also the largest loss in the history of naval special warfare.
Let me ask you this, because the rules of engagement, a lot of people don't know this. There was a father of another fallen hero who was angry at a form letter that was sent to him, and he has spoken out and was just aghast that it was a form letter and that the rules of engagement that these guys are working under, this is a war. You don't put handcuffs on heroes and send them out there to fight. Otherwise, bring them home. There's no point. As you watch that, as you watch the Benghazi cover-up, and your son knowing that you were all at risk, I can't imagine how you feel. I mean, there's nothing worse for a parent than losing their child.
Sean, it's all the same. The Benghazi cover-up, what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in Afghanistan, is all because of this president's ideology and the strategy being used by our military, and our president is directly responsible for the rules of engagement. Let me just say this. On the night that Extortion 17 was shot down, this is all from the military. We learned that the Afghan National Army, the Afghan National Police, and the Afghan Security Ministry are all involved in every single special ops mission. In the pre-planning, the post-op, they know the flight routes of the choppers. That chopper flew in there that night in a place that had already been cleared 7 times, according to our military, by our warriors, and turned back over to the Afghans. A 3.5-hour firefight underway, and our chopper flew in with an AC-130 gunship in the air, 2 AH-64s, and they were not allowed to give any pre-assault fire. They landed the chopper like it was landing at Walmart, even though a firefight was underway. When the chopper was shot down, neither were the AC-130 or the 2 AH-64s allowed to take out the savages who fired the RPGs, because they were standing on a tower, and under the rules of engagement, they didn't know if there might be friendlies in the building. These rules of engagement are criminal for our warriors.
And Sean, if I can just add something.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I can add something to that as well. We also found out in the testimony of one of the commanders in the field that he actually said something like this was bound to eventually happen,
exactly
the way we're operating.
I saw that.
That's exactly right.
Last question, and I'm running out of time, but do you want President Obama to stop spiking the football on Obama on the campaign, on bin Laden on the campaign trail?
Well, he doesn't have the character to quit, because everything is about President Obama. Always about, but yes, we want him to quit spiking the football, and we want him to leave as commander-in-chief. We want the rules of engagement changed, and we want some high-up military officer to have the courage and risk all and scream out what is happening to our warriors. Somebody please have the courage to protect our warriors instead of protecting this commander-in-chief and his cronies.
Mr. and Mrs. Vaughn, nothing worse than losing a hero, a son. Thank you for telling your story and being with us. You're in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Sean.
When we come back,
A recent series of information leaks about classified U.S. defense programs has President Obama's 2008 opponent pointing the finger at the White House. The leaks include classified information about the U.S. drone program, as well as recent cyber attacks on Iran's nuclear program.
Regardless of how politically useful these leaks may have been to the president, they have to stop.
In a Senate speech calling for an official investigation, Arizona Senator John McCain accused high-level administration officials of violating national security to portray the president in a positive light. Fox News analyst KT McFarland says the quantity and quality of information being released suggests deliberate effort by the Obama administration.
Leaks are par for the course. You know, you kind of expect them. But this is something very different because there's a systematic pattern here. There is intent and there's a lot of detail in them.
In response, the administration has firmly denied any intentional leaks, saying officials take all appropriate steps to safeguard classified information. CNN reports.
White House Press Secretary Jay Carney said, and I'm quoting here, any suggestion that this administration has authorized intentional leaks of classified information for political gain is grossly irresponsible.
But in an interview with CBS, McCain stuck to his guns, describing the leaks with a colorful old favorite.
This is a breach of national security, and you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig.
I think I heard that in a campaign somewhere.
The chairman of the Senate's Armed Services Committee, Democrat Carl Levin, said the committee would be conducting an investigation into the source of these leaks. For Newsy, I'm Christina Hartman. Multiple sources, the real story.
Republican Roger Wicker is on the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he's one of the Republicans calling for that special counsel. He joins us now. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be with you.
So here's what we're talking about. Reports about the Navy SEAL raid on Osama bin Laden, U.S. missions in Pakistan, the outing of a Yemeni double agent, details of a cyber war against Iran, and the U.S. drone program. What is the Obama administration doing, and what do you think they should be doing?
What they are proposing to do is to allow 2 U.S. attorneys to investigate on behalf of the Justice Department. One of these U.S. attorneys was very much involved in the Obama campaign in 2008, actually contributed a large sum of money to Senator Obama's campaign at that time. I think the American people need to know that this investigation is independent and it's going to be thorough, and I don't think this gives the public confidence that there's going to really be a genuine investigation.
So one of the things specifically talked about in the letter is reports regarding the United States drones attacks in the Mideast and the New York Times, a New York Times article.
Well, it's not only the New York Times. I have with me Confront and Conceal by David Sanger. Senator Feinstein, the chair of the Intelligence Committee, said that as she was reading this book, her heart would stop from time to time when she learned information that she did not even have access to as chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. And she went ahead and described it as an avalanche of leaks that make our friends reluctant to deal with us when it's been demonstrated over and over that we can't keep a secret.
And she stopped short of calling for a special counsel, though. She said there wouldn't be enough time. Would there be enough time?
Well, I think there would, and actually there are the 31 Republicans who've signed the letter, but Senator Lieberman, the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, who is aligned with the Democrats, actually on Sunday also joined the chorus of people who said really this would instill more confidence if an independent counsel were asked to look into this. So now it's bipartisan, and I appreciate that gesture of patriotism on the part of some Democrats that are coming forward, too.
All right, and we'll see what happens tomorrow with the contempt vote in the House. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
All right, right about 18 minutes past the hour.
Interesting stuff here. Dr. Michael Widlansky, been on the show before, a specialist in Arab politics, a former reporter, correspondent and editor at the New York Times, Jerusalem Post and elsewhere. also served as a special advisor to the Israeli delegations, the peace talks in 1991 and 1992. A pleasure to have you back on the show, sir.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Now, we've been reading several reports here about leaks coming out. Well, they seem to be coming out of the White House, explaining about how glorious and wonderful President Barack Obama is in dealing with terrorism, making it seem as though he's the really tough guy on the block and his predecessor didn't do very much. Where are these leaks coming from?
Well, apparently some of the leaks have come from very close to Obama himself. There are suspicions that some of them come from John Brennan, the counter-terror aide, and some are suggested to have come perhaps from Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta and from the White House staff as well. We're dealing with two kinds of leaks. First, the leak of the penetration of Al-Qaeda by a Saudi British agent, and secondly, the use of viruses apparently by Israel, led by Israel, against the Iranian nuclear bomb.
Now, information is always helpful, but of course this achieves two things, really. One, it makes Obama look extremely competent, and there's something called an election coming up. But also, this is classified information, and surely some lives of very brave people are put on the line.
Absolutely. Intelligence, as I speak about in my book, intelligence is the lifeblood of the fight against terror. You guard it, you save it, you collect it painstakingly and painfully, and you don't spill it lightly. And that's exactly what the Obama administration has done here. It's a very serious offense. We know that the police, for example, when they have an undercover agent in some crime syndicate, they don't give up their agent easily, and they don't brag about it. In Israel, when we have to deal with an Arab terror organization, we don't go to court often because we would rather stop the terror attack than get the conviction in court. What Obama has done here is to try and get the conviction in front of the court of public opinion in November. That's a mistake because it sacrifices the long-term fight against terror for the short-term effort in the election.
Now, we've been hearing, it's not just one or two reports, it's a number now. Some of them even about the making of a movie. We had a guest on about 2 weeks ago who said that information was given to a Hollywood movie maker, again, to try and glorify before the election the president. I'm not sure if that movie will ever be made in time now, but are you saying that this goes as high as the president himself? He's personally saying, yes, you can release, you can leak this information?
Yes, you can release the information. Yes, you can try to win the election. Yes, you can try to ignore the war on terror, which I never recognized as a war. It's very important to understand that this is a made-for-television production. I'm not saying that other presidents haven't made mistakes. They have. And sometimes they've taken grandstanding tactics. But never to a level like this. This is unbelievable. And when you consider the fact that Obama himself was against many of the efforts to gain some of this intelligence information, the interrogation of prisoners, the use of special terror surveillance techniques through wiretapping, through bank money transfers monitoring. This is really a lot of chutzpah.
I think that's a very polite word to use, actually, in such a context. Let's just change the tone slightly. Beyond the leaks, and I think that's beyond a doubt now, that this man is actually giving information to his friends to try and win an election, and that is about as low as you can behave. Is it true? Is Obama actually now behind this war on terror, or did that train start and leave the station long ago and he simply can't stop it now?
Well, it's clear that the war on terror is a term that Obama himself dislikes. He doesn't talk about destroying terrorists or destroying terror organizations. In his national security documents, he talks about dismantling or degrading Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is no longer the main problem. Al-Qaeda was the cat that has been copied by the copycats around the world. And Obama is trying to focus only on bin Laden because he can say, Obama got Osama. Well, that may rhyme, but it's lacking in reason. The real thing that's going on is there's a widespread radical Islamic effort against the United States, against Canada, against Britain, against France. It's all over the world. It has many different avenues. And you have to assemble painstakingly. You have to assemble intelligence to get the information to stop the attacks before they occur. You know, Obama was against the interrogation of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. His Attorney General, Eric Holder, was very much against it. Both of them wanted to prosecute the people who got the information. Well, this information led eventually to Osama bin Laden himself. It stopped some of the major attacks that were aimed at London, at Los Angeles, and at Miami, saving thousands of lives. The use of airliners to blow up the Library Tower in Los Angeles, airliner to blow up Heathrow Airport and buildings in London, and to blow up apartment buildings with natural gas in Miami. These are only several of many plots that were stopped with information garnered at Guantanamo and at other secret sites by American and allied investigators. Obama tried to throw this under the bus.
What you know some of the people. I mean, you talk about this in your book, and you're highly respected and regarded within the intelligence community. What is morale like? Because this is one of the most difficult jobs. It is incredibly dangerous. But even those people who are labouring in the office with computers and researching and satellites, it's difficult, challenging work. Morale must be at an all-time low.
When I've taught people in the intelligence community, both here in the United States and in Israel, they have the greatest lack of respect for politicians who try to grandstand and who basically give up secrets, life-saving secrets, and jeopardizing the lives of agents in the field by these kinds of things. You have to understand that in Israel, there have recently been publications in the left-wing Haaretz over this Stuxnet kind of thing, because somebody in the Obama administration, very high up, tried to take credit for something and to release information about Israeli Mossad agents who were supposedly involved in it. The Israelis don't like getting credit for many of the things they do. When we know that Israel took out a nuclear reactor in Syria, Israel didn't brag about it. It just let its actions speak for itself. That is what the intelligence community should be doing, speaking softly and carrying a big stick. And the commander-in-chief of this intelligence community is the President of the United States, who is basically the commander-in-chief of the free world. He shouldn't be given a free ride.
Yeah. Well said, sir. As always, a great pleasure. Thank you so very much indeed.
Thank you.
The raid that led to the killing of Osama bin Laden last year was an undeniable success. But this week we learned the cost of intelligence was a long prison sentence for the doctor who delivered key information. Will future intelligence sources keep quiet, and could that in turn compromise national security? Senior White House Foreign Affairs correspondent Wendell Goller looks at the impact.
Former Defense Secretary Robert Gates says the secrecy the president and his aides swore themselves to the night Osama bin Laden was killed didn't even last a day. Dr. Shaquille Afridi, administration critics say, was just the first casualty of loose talk.
And there was even talk of DNA, how DNA samples were going to be used. That caused the Pakistani authorities to start rounding up health individuals.
Administration officials deny the charge, one saying, quote, the Pakistanis found Dr. Afridi on their own. Identities of human sources are sacrosanct in the intelligence community. Pakistani officials say the plan to get DNA from bin Laden's children raised suspicions. Giving away free vaccinations in a well-to-do neighborhood wasn't normal. And Afridi quickly drew attention because he was the official surgeon from a different part of the country. Now, U.S. officials are trying to convince Pakistanis Afridi was a hero, not a criminal.
His help, after all, was instrumental in taking down one of the world's most notorious murderers.
U.S. officials are working behind the scenes to try and win a pardon for Afridi, but security analysts worry his treason conviction might scare off other informants.
It is chilling. It's a profound disincentive for people to take high risks, risking their own lives, in order to help advance our interests.